Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about resolving conflicts. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, I'd love a video sometime where you answer the question, when is a time that you have had a conflict and how you resolved it? This is a pretty persistent question in my interviews, which I blank out on, and no one is happy with me not having a good answer for it. It's almost like it's a mandatory thing for you to have an answer to this question. But as a developer, I just haven't had any conflict with anyone, mostly due to my inexperience of working on larger teams. Most of my experiences come from working on small teams with project managers and maybe a designer and me as the only developer. So there's very little conflict when I say we should build something my way, and I always listen to my seniors and I don't argue with them if they have a better idea. The interviewers do not want to hear this from me though, so I've tried to make up a lie before interviews, but I never use it because it just doesn't sound believable. Holy shit, dude! That is a really interesting problem. You're telling me that you're such a nice guy that you have to make up a lie to tell somebody about that time you had like an argument with somebody. Wow. Yeah, that is something. You could probably teach a class in conflict resolution or something similar. So this is one of those questions. I get this question absolutely, and I've had this question posed to me a few times as well, where someone asks me, "Oh, Frederick, can you tell me of a time when you had a conflict and how did you resolve that thing?" I like to call these sort of questions. These are, it's a fluff question. It's only posed either as a formality or because the person who's asking the question is a complete retard, or well, retard is a strong word, an idiot. It's an idiot who's asking the question, because basically anybody who is going to give you an answer to this question, it's just a waste of time practically to answer this question, simply because there is no way, apart from if you want to figure out if they're lying to you or something like that, where you're going to get a good answer to this. I mean, if you suspect that you're going to get a good answer to when did you resolve a fight or a conflict, you're basically hoping that someone who is usually very nervous, usually very aware of that you are now listening, and whatever that person says next is going to affect their job prospect at that company. How likely are you going to do you think, to get like a really good, honest answer that has any type of substance? Well, practically none. It's about as useful as going to a store clerk in their store and asking them if you look fat in their most expensive garment or something like that. Sure, if you're lucky, you might get an honest answer, but do you really trust the answer? So it's one of these fluff questions that people usually ask to get the conversation going. And the thing that they're trying to figure out, my friend, is if you have the social skills and the personal maturity to deal with a conflict in the workplace in a nice, clean, professional manner. So basically what they're looking for is that you have signs of soft skills, and then what I suggest to you is that, as you were saying, you don't even, I promise you can basically not, I have something for you that you can use. It's my go-to answer to this question. It works literally 100% of the time. It's never steered me wrong. If you were to give me this answer, I would immediately identify it as a canned, prepared answer, because it's not a real answer, and anybody with half a brain will know that. But luckily for you, most people don't have that, so this is going to work. So what I usually do is that just so you understand the perspective, what you're going for right now when they ask you this question is to convince them that you can resolve a conflict in the workplace in a mature, professional manner, and you will do so in a clean way, so that they can trust that you're going to be able to you're not going to be immature about it. You're not going to cause like resentment and stuff like that. That's what they're looking for. And you can make up anything, literally anything that shows that. As I said, my personal one is to go with the disagree and commit version of a conflict. And basically what that is, it's actually a buzz term. Disagree and commit it's a term, you can actually Google that if you want. The basic concept is very simple. It is a buzz term that means that you understand that there are many ways to solve a problem, and that you picked one solution to the problem, even though you didn't agree with it, but you did so, and then you continued working like a professional. It's the difference between having to deal with, and this is what they're scared of. It's the difference between a professional software developer and a philosopher like a mid-level software developer who is just a bother to everything and everybody around them. Because a philosopher, they get opinionated to the point where they start an argument. Or they're always, it's like pushing against a fucking wall. It's a wall made of mush. You're trying your best to get this piece of something person to just understand that yes, there are better ways to do things, there are smarter ways to do things, but please, for the love of God, we can't reach a conclusion here. Can't you just let it go? That's what you're trying to go for. You're trying to just get that thing to happen. And if you have a solid wall, nothing's going to happen. And that's the thing that they're checking now. If you're going to be this wall that's just going to block everything, and if you don't get your way, you're going to cause a big fuss about the whole thing, and you're going to make it a bother for everybody. Or are you simply going to be, as I said, like a mush wall, where sure, you're going to give some resistance because you truly believe in this thing, but I'm still going to be able to get you to do the thing I want you to do. And that's the perspective a lot of like philosopher developers, they simply don't get it. They don't understand that nobody gives a shit if you know 100 ways that are better to do things. If nobody's interested in your solution, shut the fuck up and just do the thing that they want you to do. And then you can go home and bitch about it to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or something like that. Because that's literally every single day for someone who works at McDonald's. Or, anybody who is not an immature brat. So the go-to perfect answer here, my friend, is, as I said, disagree and commit. My example would be, we had a disagreement, like when they asked me, oh, Frederick, can you give me an example of when you had a disagreement and how did you resolve it? Well, I had a disagreement with a coworker of mine a while back. It was during a code review, and so we had this deadline coming up, and I was basically saying that I think that we should still, even I know that there's a deadline, but I mean this is a fairly complicated feature we were working on, and so I said we should still do our testing, we should still follow good practices and stick by our quality guns. And my coworker felt very differently about that because he was kind of stressed, and he didn't want to scope creep or delay the whole thing, and he was really adamant about that. And so we kind of discussed it back and forth, and I wasn't super happy about it, but I still I understood his point of view, because at the end of the day we can still ship and then put a to-do or something. So we basically, that's what happened. We discussed the whole thing, and we finally settled on that, okay, you can ship this thing now as long as you create a follow-up story or something like that so that you can resolve it later, just so we don't have to be enemies and we don't have to cause this problem, and we can still ship and do the thing that he wants. I felt that we could have done things differently, but I also understood that at the end of the day it's just quote-unquote testing, and we can still make a good solution here. That, my friend, that's a very, very wordy way of saying disagree and commit. And that you can take your own flavor of that. That is going to work at every single company you ever go to. I promise you that much. It is the equivalent of the pageant winners, in Miss Universe, when they go up in the personality round and say something like, I really care about world peace. It is in fact so PC, the thing I just communicated, that, as I was saying, if you said that to me, who actually does this full time and know that is the most politically correct answer you could possibly give in software development, I would just immediately go, all right, you prepared that one. But the average recruiter or the average interviewer will have no way of, because technically it is true. All of the things that I said has happened. It's just that I picked the thing that is like the least honest and like the thing that is easiest for me to angle to my favor. Because if you paid attention, if you didn't notice, I was in the right in that story. I was trying to stick by my quality and showed personal not only did I show personal maturity in the fact that I was okay with my coworker getting to be right, I also showed that I cared more about quality than my coworker. So win-win. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you're going to lie about conflicts, remember that the thing that it's a bullshit question, and it's always going to be a bullshit question. The thing that you're going for is to communicate trust and maturity to the person that is asking the question. They want to figure out if you're going to be a problem if there's a disagreement at work. And no one's ever going to expect to get an honest answer here unless they're very, very, very thick. And so go with the disagree and commit approach, which is, it's even a buzzword. It's a trend term that is so famous and that it's actually something you could Google if you wanted to. And just make up literally a story about code review or something like that is very simple to go with, because it's always going to be true in some format. And simply state that you felt that you were going to do this quality approach and you care about quality, but you're also a pragmatist, so you understood that we could do it to do and fix it later. If you do that, you're literally doing the same thing as the pageant winners are doing in Miss Universe. Have a great day.